So I'm running out of puns, so I actually used a pun generator and put in the word fantasy. And I told myself I was going to use the first one, but the first one is exceptionally stupid. But I'm going to read it to you anyway. It's what do you call a fantasy about plumbers? A pipe dream. What's going on, YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about lootable items in the overworld. I was thinking about this while we were streaming the other day, that we were looking in Stros Mackay for specific areas where you could find some backpacks, maybe some other lootable things such as wardrobes, trunks, chests, etc. And I realized that not a lot of people really explain why you should open specific items over others, what's important for you to pick up, how you can boost your odds of picking up those items, and really what's the benefit to opening these things specifically. So we're going to be going over that today and more because I think it's a really fascinating subject that I don't think a lot of people have actually covered. Today was originally supposed to be the mid-year mayhem kind of supercut video because it'll be coming out here in a couple weeks again. However, we're going to do this just briefly because it kind of plays into our stream challenge. So we'll jump into that after I just quickly remind you that we're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. I love you. I read all your comments, and it would mean the world to me if we get to that achievement. So let's jump into the video. So as a perfect example to kind of encapsulate the start of what I want to discuss, we are actually right now inside of the Deadlands, inside of what's called the Wretched Tower, which if you watched one of my videos a long time ago, we said that this was a great area for you guys to loot. Let's talk about why that is. There's some different items in here that you can loot, such as a nightstand, a wardrobe, more nightstands, a trunk, and there's a backpack over here. All of those are actually OP to loot. Now, why specifically this tower? And I think we're just going to eliminate any confusion right away as to how you can boost your odds immediately. Number one way to boost your odds is to open things that aren't stolen. Now, that might seem very weird, but the Elder Scrolls Online is coded to give you better rewards if you are not taking from stolen items. So by opening this backpack, we have a better chance to get something. This flint is not a good example, but that's okay. Than if we were just stealing from a stolen backpack, which is why people generally prefer routes and areas that are better with non-stolen items with more specific items. And by items, I mean containers specific to what we're talking about. So you might be wondering, well, what are those things specific? Well, and it's actually easier to talk about what things are not. So obviously, we have a wardrobe here. We've got a nightstand here. And you can see we just found a crafting style page. And we got ourselves a trunk, which gave us a nice little provisioning recipe. But then we start to open up these crates. And you can see we're only going to get really provisioning materials. And I think that's the important distinction that I want to talk to you guys about. So which items are we talking about really avoiding? And it's not really that you should avoid these, like barrels and crates, for example. You don't have to avoid them. You're just going to be rolling generally for low valuable provisioning materials, which is still good. And don't get me wrong. But when you open things like backpacks, trunks, crates, and other such things, you are rolling for some really juicy items. You are rolling for furnishing plans, crafting materials. You're rolling for overland set pieces. You're rolling for the overland motif. There's a lot of really good things that you can get from those. And that's why, generally, anytime a new DLC is released, one of the very first things that you're going to see is people with chest routes or lootable routes inside public dungeons where they go and pick up all the urns to find different motifs and furnishing plans and other such things. That's why, is because those are the ways to get those items. A really good example of one of these farming routes, for example, is inside the public dungeon Karst, which is inside of the Blackreach Greymore Caverns. And you can see over here, we got chesticles and we got some urns that we can loot, as well as some jugs. And these are all really good items to loot because you're able to roll for those rare things, and this public dungeon is filled with them. And the reason why I'm highlighting this place specifically is because it's easily accessible. Everyone can go here. But when you're seeing new areas, either in Necrom, years down the road when something's new, or you're in a delve and you're thinking to yourself, wow, there's a lot of urns, backpacks, trunks, chests, and other really good things. Perhaps I should, kind of farm this area back and forth to really roll for those rare items, because this is actually a pretty decent gold method, as well as just an easy way for you guys to stock up on items that I think really isn't as appreciated as it should be. A quick point though, because I've slandered it probably a little bit too much, it still can be good to loot stolen areas. In fact, one of the #1 areas in Galen is this little house right here, which I've done a whole video on, which has got tons of wardrobes and trunks out the wazoo. Now you just kind of have to remember to yourself that the rates are lower, but you can see, boom, we just found a green recipe, which we will absolutely yoink. A quick reminder though that there is believed to be a cooldown when it comes to furnishing plans, so there's a good chance that we're not going to be able to find another one in a decent click of time. However, this is probably the #1 area, and I'll show you where we are. We are in Vaster, and what's really nice is you can actually just go in and out of this top door up here to reset the area, but if you want to get in from scratch, all you have to do is kind of go in through the bottom here, through this little house entrance. Malithio Ruek's house, which will require you to pick a lock, and is right at the end of this little broken road here. And it is a very good area to loot. So there's nothing wrong with looting stolen areas, but it generally requires you to have more condensed stolen items in a specific area for a couple reasons. One, the odds are lower, and two, you're sure you're going to be getting all these stolen goods, but you can only sell a certain amount of them per day. Don't want to fill up your inventory space. Generally, you just want those rare motifs, furnishing plans, overlaying gear pieces, etc. You can see my co-host is joining us here in the background. But that is actually going to wrap up my thoughts for this video. To quickly summarize, whenever you see a backpack in the overworld or any sort of trunk, chest, or anything like that, always loot it, especially if you're in a DLC zone, because you're going to be rolling for newer stuff. Newer stuff is generally worth more because less people have it, because it's been in the game for less time. So always when you're in a DLC zone, look for that. You can utilize these tactics to look for lootable zones when you're going into zones like Necrom or any previous or additional zones that come out in the future, because this could be a delve, a house, an instance. For those of you who remember from we did our High Isle video, it was actually an area that you could only go to in the main story quest, and if you left it, you couldn't go back to it, so people would just leave their characters there. There's a tons of ways that you guys can utilize this. However, the key piece is to just, if you see it, loot it. And this is why it's important to loot these items, which is my main purpose for this video. So I hope I achieve that goal, because I want you guys to be rolling for these rare items, furnishing plans, motifs, etc., etc., because I want you guys to always have those things and know why. Why are these guys picking up 50 urns in this zone? What in the world are they possibly looking for? Now you know. But dear friends, that is going to be wrapping up the old video. As a final reminder, we are doing 3 giveaway drawings as we do at the first of every month. We post the winners on every single video. You might wonder, how do I enter this thing? All you have to do is leave a comment. We pull 1 random comment. We pull 1 random subscriber, so just subscribe. And then I pull my favorite comment of the month. So by subscribing and commenting, you are entered automatically. So, because I appreciate you all. Hope this video was helpful, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.
To like and subscribe to Jake Clips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta.
This is a quick post outro. I want to thank you guys for bearing with me this weekend. I think tomorrow we shall either return to our Stros Mackay series, or we'll be going into a Mid-Year Mayhem kind of supercut video. So let me know what your preference would be, because I am down to do either one of them. I just struggling a little bit because the air quality is still terrible, and I still feel a little bit under the weather, but was obviously wanted to make a video for you guys today. So I hope this was helpful. I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.